Okay, hi. I'm going to start discussing the cards with this quote from Terence McKenna. Nature loves courage. You make the commitment and nature will respond to that commitment by removing impossible obstacles. Dream the impossible dream and the world will not grind you under, it will lift you up. This is the trick. This is what all these teachers and philosophers who really counted, who really touched the alchemical gold, this is what they understood. This is the shamanistic dance in the waterfall. This is how magic is done, by hurling yourself into the abyss and discovering it's a feather bed. Love that quote. Scariest thing ever. The idea of just going for it and not worrying about what may come, what may happen, the effects. And it's the perfect idea to start off a discussion of the Major Arcana if you consider, not if, but we start with the Fool card. I won't talk too much about this, but really meditate on that quote, because it is the idea that what we dream to do, what we want to do is possible, but sometimes we have to make a leap. Sometimes we have to jump. And we know a lot of people that do jump and fall, and people will fail at their dreams. They will try something that will not work out. It happens, right? Sometimes we have a lot of obstacles in front of us, but if we take all of these things and really attempt, like I say, it's hard for me to talk about because this is hard for me to do. It's not something that comes easily for anyone, but it is that leap. And that's where we're going to start our journey. Okay. With the Fool. So we see in the Fool deck, we see a single character standing on the edge of a cliff. That's not, again, every single image. So they come down, this is the Waite-Smith, the Thoth, the Handel, and the Hermetic. So Waite-Smith, Crowley, Herman Handel, and Dawson. So we can see that the motif of the cliff is definitely there. Not so much in Handel's. His are a lot different, but a figure, and it doesn't necessarily look like there is a leap. Like you can see he's firmly planted. Here he's not as firmly planted. Here he's definitely jumping, and this image is a representation of that jump in a different way. So the Fool. We'll first when we talk about the cards, I'll talk about their attributes, the Hebrew letter, their number, the element, their planet, not necessarily planet, but zodiac. I think it all says planet. There's not always a planet. Sometimes it's just the zodiac, which is the sign, their rune, and the archetype used to talk about this card. So the Hebrew is Aleph. It is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it has no sound. It begins the 10 Commandments. If you know anything about the Jewish or Christian Bible, it is the first word of the 10 Commandments. Again, it has no sound. What it is that it connects to words to help inform how they're said. You don't say that sound, but it changes the word. It is a symbol for mystery. It's the spirit, the I am that God states. It's called Anoki. It being silent and having no sound kind of hints it at it's something that is beyond understanding in human terms. So the number is 0. The circle, it represents a negative above the tree of life. So we see the symbol of the tree of life, it's above it. It is the source of all things. If we think about 0 in the idea of emptiness, there is nothing, and the universe came out of nothing. from nothing is everything. It is a dichotomy. It's like Crowley said, a contradiction, but it is still that concept of out of nothing comes something. It's the cobbled zero, and it's the equation of the universe. So it is, again, all things as well as nothing at the same time. It's a balance of opposites, everything and nothing, and the intuition of the clown, right? So we see a character that is like a jester, the court jester, which is the proto-clown. As we are not anything that we think we are. It's a shape of an egg, so it is all possibility, the thing before birth, what is inside the egg, the thing that comes out of. It's all potential life. And also nothingness beyond comprehension. So it's all possibility and nothingness that we cannot even know. So far into nothing that it's unknown. There's a lot. Again, I wish we could talk and have questions and answers, but I'll do my best to explain it. The element is air, obviously. Air, it's air as thought. It's a vacuum. Nothing is there. We think, but where do we think? Where does a thought come from? What is the thought? It's just firings inside our brains, but at the same time, where does it go? But it's still there. The planet is Uranus. It's unexpected. It's joy and surprise and excitement in moving into the unknown. So I'm going to say all these things just as it is the associations with everything. I can't reference where I get it all from. Like I said, I have these books that I've read through, and Uranus is the planet of unexpected joy and surprise. Why? I'm not exactly sure, but that's what the history and the knowledge and all of the things that have come before, that's what they say. That's the association of that planet. Moving into the unknown. The rune is Wun. We don't see the rune in these cards. We see it in these. Sorry. That's the rune right there. When we get to the Heimdall card, we'll talk about the rune, but I'll mention it here just so it's an attribute of the card. They're still associated. It is a binding rune. It's things that keep things together and forces together. So if we think about the beginning of the universe, it's everything all together all at once and nothing at all together. The archetype is the wanderer, those without a home. The green man of spring, which is that which is before birth and life, before the sun comes out from the darkness of winter. The spirit of ether. Ether is like the air, or the level above reality, this space of nothingness that exists outside of our consciousness. Innocence, and also a trickster. Not exactly being what he is as seen. Like what we see, he can be a little bit different. There's a lot more going on to him. He is nothing, but at the same time, everything. It's a bit of a trick. Okay. So that and the general attributes. I'll try to keep this in one video. I want to try to do both in one. It is outside the Major Arcana. It lies as 0, so it's not within the beginning, it's not at the end, it's not in between this card or this card, but everywhere. It is associated between every 2 cards. It can have an association with every card. Its place is anywhere it is needed. So it is like it's an idea of making the transition, making the change from one point to another much easier. The spirit of the Fool is emptiness and just no worry, no thought, just do it, right? Action without action. There's no plan. It only responds instinctively. So it's our instincts and just what do we want, right? Not what do we want, because then you're thinking about it. Just doing without thinking. Nothingness outside of time. He cannot say what he is. He can only dance through life. It is just this movement without even personal understanding or conception. And I think that's important because it starts with this idea of before even what am I? It's before even thought. It is just movement. And if we think about this in the path of like existence, like what is birth? The sperm touches the egg and it starts to move and it's shifting and changing. That's the fool. Ultimate potentiality. Anything could happen from it. But not that specifically. It's just a good idea to kind of wrap our head around that idea. Before culture, before conditioning, before ego, before everything, it is just that spirit. The card belongs wherever there's a difficult transition. So if we're having problems moving from this card to another and can't quite figure the step that we need to take to go from here to there, the Fool can come in and we can come back to this idea of just joyous movement without thought, and then it happens. It is the spirit of experience. Wands and then cups. It's firstly wands. Wands is a creative force, and then cups is the receiving and the water. Wands is fire, cups is water, and this is air. Okay. One more. It says, we must travel through hardship and darkness to find an understanding that will connect us to an ultimate goal. So we'll talk about that path. But that idea is that transition. There is a limitless abyss of nothing in front of us. And if we jump into it, where do we land? Hopefully on a feather bed, right? The idea of landing into something that is soft and easy and will help us. The Fool card embodies all of that. Okay, let's talk about the cards. Next video.